Of the countless punk bands to come out of Australia, few have had such an impact as Eddy Current Suppression Ring. Formed in the back room of a Melbourne vinyl pressing plant in 2003, the band have gone on to release 5 extraordinary studio albums, the most recent of which, in light of recent events, being a surprise release in May. I caught up with the band ahead of their first Sydney show in 16 years to chat about the new record, Tape Romanticism, and the response to their return. Eddy Current Suppression Ring. It is a delight to chat to you all.
Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure. Could you introduce yourselves?
I'm Mikey. I play guitar and a little bit of keyboard in the band.
AKA Eddy Current.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Get the
Brendan
stage names
Suppression.
in. Brendan Suppression?
I'm Danny Current. I'm Mikey Current's, Eddy Current's brother on drum.
Blood Brothers.
Rob Solid, bass.
Also known as Brad.
Great to meet you all. Congrats on In Light of Recent Events.
Thank you.
You guys seem to have just dropped it totally out of the blue. Was a new Eddy Current album always on the cards?
It depends on what you consider always, I guess, because it was more like we're building songs.
Yeah, I had to answer this question this morning on the radio, but I think maybe it was just to protect like any stress, but like for me, it was, no, we're not making a record. We're just making songs, and maybe we'll put out a single or something, and then you get to a point where it's like, oh, well, there's 15 songs. It'd be nice to make a record. So like, even though I told myself we were making an album, I think maybe in the back of my mind, I always knew it was probably going to head into
This is becoming an album, you know?
Yeah. But it was just a product.
It felt like a good way to approach it, though, by not saying this is what we're doing. It's more like we're just jamming. And then like each jam, you're kind of coming away with another, skeleton for a song or a song. And then it's like, well, they're just adding up. And we were jamming for a while. Like we've been jamming for a couple of years, just like every Wednesday, just hanging out.
Are you guys recording these jams, or is it just let's get in a room, see what feels good, and then if we're onto something, onto a bit of gold, we'll go from there?
Well, more often than not, we record, but not always.
Yeah,
Depending.
like we're like, unlike previous back in 1.0 times, we used to lug to the rehearsal room, jam like regular people, and then we'd once every so often we'd go to a place and we'd record an album in a day. But now I have a kind of pretty well built mastering room that turned out to be a very good room to jam in. So every time we jam, like there's always 8 mics in the room, and I usually just leave the computer running for the whole jam. And if a good take happens, we just kind of make a mark on a whiteboard that we did a good take that day. So like,
And that's the track.
so yeah, and so the album is just songs from our jam sessions, like, because everything's live. Brendan sings live, everything's bleeding into each other, but that seems to be the best way for us.
And you become sort of unconscious of the fact that the mics are on. You're just like, well, here we are in our comfortable room, doing our thing. And it's like, it just sort of, it becomes more fluid.
Yeah, like before we had like half an hour of tape, and it's like, okay, like, don't waste this, like, and you'd really like tense up because the take's got to be right. But this way, it just sort of happens in the background, and we can kind of try our best to forget about it.
So you're recording digitally nowadays?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Cool.
For All in Good Time, I took the 8-track down to Frankston, and I realized how much of a extra stress, because I'm the one that records the band. It was an extra thing I had to do, and when I should have just been concentrating on playing guitar, and I'm like watching the tape machine out of the corner of my eye so it doesn't fuck up. It's like, it's just another thing that stops me thinking about the music.
And Mikey's wizard skills now are like up, like next level. Like you don't need next level wizard skills. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just accept it, and therefore he can get those sounds without lugging that gear around.
Yeah, I think when we started recording, like that, the sound of the tape machine kind of helped us to get where we wanted to go. Like there was just a natural kind of sound of overloading tape, and over the years of mixing and recording other bands, like I've kind of figured out how to get from A to B in a different way, or in a more kind of controlled way. So like, I'm definitely not, anti-digital, or like, things must be on tape anymore. It's just, it all works.
Wizard skills.
I feel like that purist kind of mentality of the let's just do tape only works to a point. It opens certain doors, but really seals you off. I feel like when you start reaching the limitations of it.
I guess you're kind of pragmatic in the fact that it's like whatever does the job. You know, it's
Yeah.
like
Like I think it can be helpful, like in a mental way, where because there is those limitations of tape, um, time limitations and track limitations to kind of force decision making. That's the one of the main good things about tape. I don't think we really need to do that in this band because our takes are live anyway. We don't really bother with overdubs much at all. So we just use the computer in the same way. It's just like 8 channels recording, and yeah, it's cheaper, it's easier. I've lost most of my tape romanticism. However, I do still love like a cassette 4-track and just like messing around on that and having even kind of smaller limitations, but like it's not the only necessary way to do things.
Totally. And it's not vital, by the sounds of things, to retaining your sound.
I don't think so. I don't think anyone's said, "Hey, man, this sounds like the first record you've recorded on digital." It was one of the main things that stopped in another band I'm in. I recorded one of their albums a few years ago in 2 sessions, and half the album was done on an 8-track, and then 6 months later, half was done on a laptop in the same room, and I can't even freaking remember what songs were done,
Right.
and neither could anyone in the band.
Yeah. In terms of bands that are known for an extremely distinct and recognizable sound, Eddy Current sits right at the top of the pack, in my mind. How do you continue to develop as a band while retaining the sort of spirit or the sound of Eddy Current?
I think the evolution is more in us, in like a mental state, rather than, we just go in and we keep doing what we do, but we're maybe different people. That's one thing.
For sure.
Lyrically, for instance. You know?
Yeah, definitely. I think, to be honest, that was probably one of the reasons why I kind of stopped things back in 2010 for a while, because there is that limited palette of sounds and what we can do or what we are good at doing. And I kind of ran out of good ideas to do within that. And I think the break was kind of healthy to kind of reinvigorate different ways to approach that, kind of milking the most out of that. But there's something healthy about putting the limitations on it. And I'm just going to always use this guitar and we're always going to record live. I think it's a kind of healthy limitation, but it's nice to try and break out of.
Despite having a very devoted following, you seem like a band that's tried to contain your size to a degree in terms of not getting too renowned globally or becoming too big a machine. What's incentivized that?
We said it heaps of times before, but we like our day jobs, so we don't have to think of it in any other way other than, like they said before, just getting together every week and, playing songs that we like, and we have fun recording, and then playing. That's part of it, I think.
Yeah, like we never. I think, but also by the time we started, at least us three were like, older. Like we were 27 plus, and so we were never like young kids like that. Kind of had ambition, or we already had jobs and it didn't need to pay the rent. So we were able to kind of treat it as this thing that remained fun, and I think we've held on to that pretty well.
Has that been creatively freeing in terms of, all right, when we get together, we don't,
Those the 2 years before we started playing and just jamming, and then doing the couple of shows under silly names for the first few. So we didn't have to, someone didn't yell out, oh, this or that. We were just like, we're just playing these songs, and no one did ask. And it was like starting again and playing house parties, sort of like, love doing big things like this, but then, house parties. So yeah, good balance to that. Yeah.
That's awesome. I know that you guys have jammed pretty consistently throughout this sort of perceived break that the general public has seen from Eddy Current, but you've remained jamming together as a unit in that period. What's it been like coming back and doing these smaller shows under different aliases and then coming and doing things like this?
I mean, it's all been great. It's I'd forgotten how much I missed the audience. Feeding off that, and also being able to play newer songs live, but without any expectation of, I've bought my ticket, I want to see this or anything like that. I mean, we love playing the old songs, but it was cool just to go in and play these new songs, see what they felt like out in front of people, in front of us, in front of people, and all of that, and so to have that freedom and for people to kind of be accepting of it was great,
It was fun, like starting again, like when you...
Yeah.
It was...
like people going to come, oh my God, like cool,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like we just like building songs and like obviously love playing live. I personally feel way more comfortable these days. I've kind of accepted the fact that it's it's okay to be up there. Like I used to get pretty anxious before a show or during. I still do, but it's like I'm enjoying it now. And way more. And I don't know what that is. I think it's just like appreciating that this could be just a little snippet of time, and then we're gone again.
Yeah,
know?
I have like having been in other bands over the years, like I realize how lucky we are to have this connection with people, and it's maintained over the years. We haven't played. It almost feels like it's grown somehow. So definitely not taking this for granted.
Yeah.
Of the position we have and the love we have from people. Yeah, it's pretty. It feels pretty special sometimes.
Does it ever come as a surprise that even after?
Yeah, just about to say, it's still like you wonder, are they going to like it? Yeah.
Yeah,
people
totally like
it,
that.
for sure.
That's why we like
Yeah.
totally like didn't press enough records, and because we're like, maybe this many people will care about our new record, and so we book venues that are maybe a bit too small, not because we're like pricks or anything. It's just like we're kind of like, I think that's probably the amount of people that want to see us, and we are like, we are a bit naive in that respect,
Right.
I think.
But also wanting to pick venues that feel good to us.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, sometimes the smaller venues we can control, with like ticketing, things like that. It's like less corporate. It's a mix of everything.
Sure.
But like just again making the most of what we've got and just having fun.
Yeah, I always try to think, if I was a punter, how I would like to see this band, right? What kind of atmosphere would I like to see this band? And if it kind of if that happens to be a smaller venue than a larger venue, then always choose that. I think there's a kind of mid-range venue that I kind of don't like. That it's some kind of intimacy gets lost to where once it gets past a certain amount of people, but then it seems to come swing back when you do these kind of giant festival kind of stage things that have their own kind of intimacy and kind of collective experience. But yeah, it's just choosing venues that kind of feel like they're gonna work, or they're gonna.
It's just an interesting experience. Like not being dictated by the demand or anything. It's just like what feels good.
Do you think a style of music you make is better suited to one particular setting, or does it just sort of change shape and mold?
That we've found that like our set maybe at like Jerkfest, we've found certain songs maybe don't work.
I used to kind of think our style of music only suits like these small kind of things, and maybe that's why bigger shows used to scare me off a bit, because I thought it needed to remain in this kind of tight situation. But yeah, I don't feel that anymore, and I feel like we can tailor the set to kind of make it work. And I think Brennan's better than ever at kind of capturing the attention of a kind of larger stage too, and kind of like connecting with people, like connecting with thousands of people, which can be kind of hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I saw footage from that Fed Square show you guys did, and it was just like, I'd only ever seen, I'd seen stuff from you guys playing Golden Plains and playing these smaller pubs, but it was really cool to see how that sort of energy translates into a live outdoor setting. So I'm really, really looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, it was real good fun. Well, yeah, it felt unreal. So, yeah, I mean, this is, I guess, not our hometown, so we don't know. It might be just
Might just be you.
Yeah.
I'll do my best to start some sort of pit, just a one man. Exactly, yeah.
Be interesting to see, but we felt good about it. So yeah,
cool. Well, only one more from me, guys. I ask this of everyone I interview, but if you could play me any album, what would you play me?
If you don't know them, a Perth band called Rupture, Sex, Drugs, and Rupture.
Cool.
Listen to that.
That's the name of the album, Sex, Drugs, and Rupture?
Yeah.
What do you like about it?
It's got everything. You listen to it, it's got everything. Yeah, but it's probably not what you think. Yeah.
Sonically, how would you describe it?
It's I can't. It's real fast and catchy, and it's got lots of different paces. And it's the main thing is come through. It's very honest, brutally honest.
How about you, Rob?
At the moment, I've got Billy Gardner and Friends.
What do you like about it?
Yeah, it's just good to hear Billy's latest stuff, and it's got a good variety of songs and stuff like that.
How about you, Brandon?
I'm gonna go with JJ Cale Naturally.
Oh, so good.
Second that.
This week. Oh, is it? Yeah.
What do you like about it?
It just kind of fits in with any mood that I'm ever in. It's a certain nostalgia from early memories. And it's just a beautiful record. He's got a beautiful voice and the guitar work, everything. It's just
It's a real album for all seasons, that one.
Yeah.
You can throw that on
it could be summer,
anytime.
winter.
Yeah.
It's gonna do its thing.
It's so good. Yeah. And Mikey?
I know it's really hard, but I would just say like the Dr. John's first album, like the Gregory John album. That kind of spooked me out the first time I heard it, and every time I play it, that atmosphere and that feeling that it gave me the first time is just as strong. And I can't imagine that someone would hear it and not have the same kind of feeling. There's just something like miraculous in the production that just captured some kind of spirit, you know?
Eddy Current Suppression Ring, thank you so much. Been great to chat with you.
Thanks,
Thanks very much.